Communities along the Murray-Darling Basin have now had more than 24 hours to digest South Australia's Royal Commission, and the verdict from many quarters is scathing. Irrigators have slammed the Royal Commissioner, Brett Walker, over his finding that there's no evidence water buybacks hurt communities. They're preparing to fight any changes to environmental allocations.
Once again, water buybacks have got the back of irrigators up around the country. They have some advice for the Royal Commissioner.
Get a wider view of the communities, because if we have more buybacks, it's going to decimate the smaller communities.
The Commissioner was scathing about the Murray-Darling Basin plan, saying it put politics over science. Today, there was more politics. Labor won't say if it will hold a federal Royal Commission.
This is an ecological disaster in the Murray-Darling Basin, and ultimately the buck stops with the federal government.
What needs to happen right now is the people responsible on the ground for running the plan and taking advice on how the plan can be better implemented and worked out on the ground. That's where the focus needs to be now.
The Greens have called for the head of the Murray-Darling Basin Authority to be sacked. Too soon for that, river councils and communities say, but they agree the authority shouldn't assess its own work.
They're the judge and the jury, and they can't be both. So I think that's a pretty serious finding that's been made.
To avoid the controversy of buybacks, emphasis has been shifted to squeeze water out of better agricultural techniques. This wine grape growing property in South Australia's Riverland is an example of efficiency measures designed to put more water back into the system. This farmer has planted new, more hardy vines and upgraded his irrigation system and handed water back as a result. Communities say it's things like this that help keep them alive. But the Royal Commissioner says it's a very expensive measure and buybacks are cheaper and more efficient. Constitutional lawyer George Williams says without goodwill, the entire plan is at risk.
It's in some ways surprising that plan already hasn't been challenged, whether it be by environmentalists or a recalcitrant state. It's been possible that that challenge would go to the High Court, perhaps though that's more likely now.
Victoria argues the Royal Commission itself has created instability.
An attempt almost to undermine the whole plan, like to recommend that we should be looking at further water recovery after all those years of a plan being agreed.
The Royal Commission was sparked by Four Corners revelations of water theft in New South Wales. The State Water Minister isn't a fan of its findings.
But it's something that really is through the eyes of South Australia and the then South Australian Labor government.
The South Australian minister faces his own problems. The Commissioner says he capitulated to the eastern states.
I will not be stepping away from my responsibilities. I believe I have got the confidence of the Premier.
Controversy over water, one thing that always flows strong. Leah MacLennan, ABC News, the Riverland.